Welcome to the Untitled Car Project podcast, your one stop show about Indian car enthusiasts capable of giving Dominic Toretto a run for his money. With serial gearheads Siddhant and Shivam, here we go.
Hold on.
How are you doing, Sirish? How is it going there?
Good. All good, man.
How is the COVID situation coming up with you, and how are you sort of
Not good.
navigating through it?
Yeah, not good. Difficult times, but then it's the same for everybody. So we just have to make do with the situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your posts keep us going, because I was discussing this with my friends, and we keep seeing your posts, and it's really fascinating. So that's what we wanted to talk about. Dive a bit
Yeah,
deep
sure.
into it, and just have a regular conversation about
You try and get the
where we
basic
express
insights.
our love for cars and bikes
Yeah.
and everything. So yeah,
Sure. Yeah, let's go for it.
all right, perfect. So Siddhant, take it away.
Yeah, so we'll start off with a little, get into the basic thing that is right now going on, which is the Thar, which is in town right now. So, what do you have your take when people are the main thing that's coming up on every social media platform that I see is they're trying to connect it with the Jeep Wrangler somehow. And apart from just the engine that the Thar is using, what is the main thing that you'd like to say about it?
Yeah, so the whole thing about the Thar being a ripoff of the Wrangler. See, you got to remember that Mahindra's heritage, it dates back to the CJ3. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they started off manufacturing here in India in 1947, 49, or well, 49, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. So
Okay.
they've been making the Jeep ever since then. It was called the Jeep. So when we were kids, the MM540, it had Jeep badges on the flanks. So it was, everybody knew it as the Jeep. Everybody called it the Jeep. And that's what Mahindra has been making for very, very long. In fact, they have stuck with that original Jeep iconic face for far longer than anybody else actually have. So then saying that the Thar is a ripoff of the Wrangler, I don't think it's right, because if you look at the Thar and then you look at all the other Jeeps, so-called Jeeps in
Yeah.
Mahindra's backstory, right from the MM540, the 550, then the classic, the legend, the old Thar,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is now a decade old, the major, which was sold in the rural markets, the Thar DI, which was sold in the
Yeah.
rural markets, which was a replacement for the major, and now the new Thar. All of it traces a distinct and very noticeable visual identity. So it all looks like the Mahindra Jeeps, and I say
Yeah,
Jeep with
that's
a small j, not the Jeep
yeah.
company capital J, right? So yeah, obviously it will look like the Wrangler because both trace their DNA and their origins back to that World War II Willys Jeep.
You
Yeah.
can say that it's
But
not a
that is to
fair
be expected.
comparison.
Yeah, it's not a fair comparison. And I've driven the Wrangler, the earlier JK, the new
Yeah.
JL, and they drive very differently. So the Wrangler definitely feels more premium, more upmarket. But that said, for what Mahindra are going to charge for the Thar, which I think it is between 13 and 15, but Adil, he says it's going to be between 10 and 13. So if it is, say, within 15 lakh rupees, you get nearly as much as the Wrangler at 30% of the 35% of the
Are they
price.
going a little too techie with the Jeep, with the robust structure of the Jeep, and they're getting into the too techie scene wherein they're putting in lights and the whole dashboard of it? Is it fair to do it with the Jeep, or do you
Yeah,
want to
see,
stick to
because
being
see,
a
the
robust?
biggest no, the biggest problem with the earlier Thar was that it was not livable on a regular daily basis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
definitely.
remember
True.
when we started off Evo, we had a Thar on long-term test, and I never took that home because it was too crude, too basic. It was okay as a toy for a short drive, and that's about it. You had to be like really hardcore. So our colleague back then, Osef, he kept the Thar, and that was a rally prepped Thar without
Beautiful.
aircon, rally suspension. No, it was hardcore. It was like a rock. And he used to drive it every day. But you had to be that kind of a person. With this new
That's it.
Thar, they've made it more civilized. They've made it a vehicle that you can actually use every day. Comfortable, good, decent ride quality. It's still a ladder frame, so you do have that ladder
Yeah.
frame ride characteristics, but it is still a ladder frame. It can do serious off-roading. We did not do serious off-roading. If you saw the last video that we put out on the Evo India
Yeah, we
channel,
did.
it was not serious off-roading, but it was. It felt that it could do much more. So whatever we had the confidence to push it through, it easily went through all of that. And I'm
Okay.
looking forward to driving at Mahindra Adventures Off-Road Academy at Igatpuri to really see how much we can push it.
Beautiful.
But it's got that off-road ability, plus it is civilized and you can use it every day. So as a daily driver now, the Thar can be used. Earlier, you could not use a Thar as a daily driver. And that was its biggest failing. You drive this new Thar with the old Thar and it feels like 3 generations ahead. That old Thar was bouncy as hell because of the leaf spring suspension. It was basic. It was bare bones. It did not feel built well. It was too much. It was just a toy that you would use on weekends, and that's
I mean,
about
since
it.
we're talking about rally and all, I mean, we just saw a recent post on Evo that INRC is about to start. It is about to start around November, I guess.
November,
And
yeah.
so do you think there'll be, considering the situation of COVID right now, do you think there'll be enough participants this year, or will the count be a little less?
Difficult to say, but all signs are that the field will reduce because it's not easy in these times. The other thing is that COVID is not going to go anywhere by November, so it's still going to be there.
I hope it does.
So travel, how do you sort out all your travel? Then, so like everybody's looking at what Formula One is doing, what MotoGP is doing, but they have those bio bubbles, right? So are they going to do it that all the participants, all the mechanics, all the teams, they go to Arunachal and they are quarantined for 14 days and then they kick off the rally? That's not feasible. Nobody can leave home for 14 days and sit in Arunachal doing nothing. So how is that going to happen? How are you going to do social distancing? In a rally, okay, social distancing is possible. You have your service bays a little further from each other. But when all the mechanics are working on the car, there's no social distancing. After the first stage, when you come in, there will be 8, 10 mechanics pouncing on the car. Right.
True.
So then there is no question of social distancing. So how do you manage that? There are a lot of questions that need to be answered, but at least they are making that effort. They're making that first step to go out and at least put that together, put a tentative calendar. That is just a proposed calendar that we put out yesterday. It's not confirmed as of now. In Arunachal, they can do it because you have the wide open spaces and less population, so it's not as dense as the other parts of the country. But then, how are the promoters going to get all the cars up there? Are the promoters going to pay for transport for all the cars? It's far away. Itanagar is not close. And even to get there, so you fly to Guwahati, then it's an entire day drive from Guwahati to Itanagar unless they organize helicopters. And so there are a lot of questions, but let's just look at the positives that at least they are talking that, we're going to do the 2020 INRC. It's not like 2020 is going to be completely washed out. So let's just be positive and hope that they can overcome these challenges.
But then it requires a certain amount of precautions. Only if
Of course, you definitely have to have serious amount of precautions because this is no laughing matter. Yeah, look at what it's done to the world. We are all at home. We've all shifted the way we work. I haven't seen an airport in 6 months, and earlier I used to be on a plane every second or third day. So it's completely changed our lives.
That's the dream job we are looking for.
Yeah, touch wood, I'm fortunate.
So, but since we are getting in the rally scene and we were doing a bit of research about you, and we got to find out that you were driven in the rally, even in the F1600 series. So, what was your experience like? Now you review cars that are there in the market, the cars that is for the regular people, and you've yourself driven a rally car. What was the major differences that I'm pretty sure that there are huge major differences there, and there are. But then, what was the feel like? Getting into a rally car, then hopping back and reviewing a car. Are those cars at par with
First things first is the other way around. My day job is reviewing cars, and my hobby is motorsport. And I got into motorsport thanks to journalism. because journalism gave me an opportunity to go out and participate in the Raid the Himalaya. That was in 2003 with Maruti Suzuki. We drove an 800cc Alto on the raid, and we won
Oh,
our
beautiful.
category outright. So that was my very first event, and no, from there it all progressed. So to answer your question on how different a motorsport vehicle is from a road car, it's very different. Now, our rally cars are Group N spec. So Group N spec means that it is the same specification as the car that you could buy out of the showroom. Now, obviously, the Polo 1.6 is not available in showrooms, but earlier when we used to rally, that is the car that we used, and before that, the CDR, and of course, all the S-Team and the City and all
STs.
of that, right? So that a Group N spec means you're using the same engine that is there in the road car, but you can have an aftermarket ECU. So you have a motorsport ECU. Your engines are also prepped well, so they do develop around say 20 horsepower more than the stock engine, intakes, exhaust. The cars aren't lighter because even though you strip down the cars, but you also install a roll cage in it. So the roll
Yeah,
cage
true.
is heavy. So the cars are almost the same weight as the road car. What actually makes the big difference to a rally car and to any motorsport car for that matter is the suspension, because it's the suspension that allows you to hit those bumps on the dirt tracks and taking off at say 120 130 kilometers per hour, all four wheels in the air, you land and you continue. If you do that in a road car, your four wheels will be in four different directions, if at all, if it is attached to the car. So it's the suspension that actually transforms a motorsport vehicle. It's the suspension that allows you to go around the corner at 1,000,000 miles an hour, which you can't do on a road car. Also, the tires. So how the tires work with the suspension, because gravel tires, those tires, the amount of grip that it gives you on a dirt track, and then you drive
Yeah, that's
a normal road car at 40 kilometers per hour, you'll be sliding all over the place. Whereas in a
definitely.
rally car, you're doing 140 kilometers per hour around that corner. So
Yeah,
those
yeah.
tires grip, they bite, then the suspension, how that works, and then of course your driving skill. But it is the suspension that makes a big difference to rally car. Also, the suspension only works if you make the suspension work for you. I'll give an
Yeah,
example.
true.
If you drive at say 20 kilometers per hour in a rally car with rally suspension, the car will be sliding all over the place because there is no load on the suspension, and that's why the suspension is not moving and is not generating any grip. So to make the suspension work, you have to be driving really hard. So then the impact, the load, that is what makes the suspension work, makes the suspension push the tires to find grip and actually
You
get
need
around
that
the
amount of
corner.
weight transfer on the corners and on the
Exactly.
suspension to work there. Yeah,
The
that's
first
very
time I
true.
drove, yeah, the first time I drove a Group N Impreza that was in Finland. Naren Kumar was driving in the Production World Rally Championship, so we went to do a test on his car. And the first time I drove it, I was driving it slowly because obviously I didn't want to prank his car. Tommy Macklin was there. I didn't want to make a fool of myself. But when you're driving it slow, the car's all over the place. You can't do
Yeah,
anything to it. You have to drive a rally car fast to actually see what it can do and to
you
actually
have to
make it perform.
persist it.
Yeah, you have to send it. Yeah, you really do have to send it. And it's the same with race cars. I did
Definitely.
that race with the Formula 1600. When you're going slowly, things are not working for you. You're just
Exactly.
you're putting in so much effort, but you're not going anywhere. You really need to push the car, get the car to slide, and that's when you make everything work for you and you get the lap time out of it. So all these motorsport vehicles have to be pushed, and when you push, that's when it delivers in terms of the
It's like
time.
you reach the optimum point when you push the vehicles suddenly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We actually wanted to shift to your Formula 1600 time, since the Formula 1 is also going on. So we'd like to compare I mean we cannot compare them, but then everything has a cap. So do you think motorsport should, like, even F1 is trying to put a cap on their R&D sector, right? Cap in the sense of money cap. Do you think it's a good initiative for F1 to do it? Because there'll
Obviously,
be.
because see, if you look at the gap between Mercedes and the rest of the
Definitely.
guys, so you have Mercedes, you have Red Bull, and then you just look at where the rest of the guys are. Renault, they are a top four manufacturer in the world, and they can't compete in terms of budgets, and so that's ridiculous, right? You need to have some form of level playing field. I'm not criticizing Mercedes. I'm not criticizing Lewis Hamilton. They are at the absolute top of
I'm
their
a
game.
Mercedes fan, just saying.
Yeah, so they're at the absolute top of their game. But you want the racing to be a little closer, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You want more people to be fighting for the victory every race weekend. Whereas right now, it's a foregone conclusion that Hamilton will
Yeah,
win. And at the max, you might have Bottas. But
yeah. It's like
it's,
1-2 silver arrows. Yeah,
yeah, so black arrows now.
yeah, black arrows.
So I don't think that's great for the sport because that's what you want to watch, right? The second race of the season, all that ups and downs.
Yeah.
That's what kept us on the edge
Exactly.
of our seats, right? Whereas now, what happened in the last race? It was just a runaway victory, and then at the end of it, Hamilton says that they managed their tire strategy very well. Nobody's watching a race for tire strategy. Nobody's
Exactly.
watching a race and saying, wow, look at how they conserve their tires. No balls. They actually want wheel to wheel action. And
Yeah,
that
that's
is
it.
what you want to see.
I guess that's what is happening during the mid ranges of the F1. Like Lando Norris is coming in, then Alex
Yes.
Albon is performing very well.
Yeah. He always seems to be in the wars.
Yeah, but then he
Yeah, so
he
that's what
tries
you
to
want,
push.
right? You want all that action. You want 2-3 guys to be fighting for the win.
Yeah.
You want Verstappen to have that extra 2-3 tenths so that he can then
Yeah.
challenge Hamilton at the front and
I mean,
show what
I guess
he's doing.
Verstappen is,
Yeah.
is satisfied with what he is. I've heard his radio checks and all. He's saying, let's concentrate on my race first, and then eventually get on to what Mercedes is doing, because we can
I don't
eventually
think
not go ahead, right?
I don't think he's satisfied. I think he is given up, and I think he
Yeah.
knows that this is the max that I can do, and I'm not going to be able to challenge Mercedes on outright pace unless it is raining or the weather is favoring their car. But I think he's just like, no, this is all I can do, so let's just focus on what I have
Yeah,
to do and not
exactly.
look at what Mercedes is doing. So he's just stuck over there as the third fastest car. And he doesn't have support from his teammate either to, make those strategy calls either, because Albon is no class on Verstappen.
True.
And also, you need Ferrari to get like maybe 5-6 seconds
We
faster.
definitely
So that-
need Ferrari to get back to the game. You cannot be finishing 13th, 14th and call yourself a Ferrari anymore.
Seriously, yeah. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So now coming to automotive journalism, like that's your main thing. So
That's my job.
yeah, how did you like started with the whole car review, and like what got you into this?
It's a longish story. I was doing my final year of engineering, and I saw an ad in Overdrive magazine that said, "Enthusiast ahoy! If you're interested in cars, send a sample of your writing and your bio," which I did, and I forgot about it. And 2 months later, Adil, who was editing Overdrive back then, he called up home because he had seen my email. So he had called up. He called up home. Spoke to my mom. I was interning at Thermax back then. Mom called me at work, and I don't know, Adil calling me. That was like shit. God has picked up the phone and called home. So I bunked work, went home, changed, went and met Adil. We spoke for 2 hours, and he said, "Would you like to join?" I said, "Hell yeah, I would like to join." And that was it. I was supposed to go finish my engineering and go to the States to do my master's, but that never happened. I interned with Overdrive in my final year of engineering. So in my final year of engineering, I was interning at Overdrive. I was also doing my final year project at Thermax. Did all of that at the same time. And as soon as I got my degree, I joined Overdrive, and that was it. I never looked back. I was there at Overdrive for 12 years. The last 6 years, I was editor. We launched the Overdrive show on CNBC, TV18. That was the first time that we actually jumped into television. We won the best automotive best show in English, the NT Awards, the National Television Awards, for 2 years in a row in our first 2 years. After that, I quit Overdrive and went to Porsche. I was the head of press and marketing for Porsche in India. Did that for 8 months and realized that no, I'm no good behind a desk. And then I quit that and I started Evo India magazine.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Short story.
So back when you started and now, how is it different back then and now?
The time when those cars and the current cars that are coming into the picture right now.
Yeah, so it is night and day, but it is also very similar. Similar in terms of its passion that drives all of us. All of us who are into automotive journalism are just crazy passionate about cars and bikes, and that's why we are here, and that's why we do it. There are jobs that pay more and all of that, but all of us here enjoy doing this, waking up at the crack of dawn and going out and driving a new car or riding a new bike, and creating content on it. So that passion, that doesn't change. That's always there. What has changed is digital, social. Back when I started off in our office at Overdrive, there was one computer connected to the internet, and that's it. And that was a normal dial-up connection. I remember we used to download Formula One images from Sutton Images, and each image, it must have been those days, no, 1.5 MB. Each image would take around 20 minutes to download. There was no Google research, which is what a lot of people do today.
Yeah.
We read press kits when they came. We read international magazines when they came 2-3 months after they were published in Europe. We had maybe one car, one new car, two new cars every month, one or two new bikes every month. 60cc moped, that was my first road test, the Sunny Spice, a 60cc two-stroke moped. We had to first run it in before doing performance testing. When I ran it in, it seized on me thrice. Went to the dealership, got it sorted out, again ran it in, did performance testing. What performance testing? That doesn't even go to 80 kilometers per hour. But yeah, we performance tested it, detailed performance test, and an 8-page road test on a 60cc
Oh my God.
moped, a scooterette. So those days you would devote a lot of time to every single car, every single bike, no matter how small, no matter how. It's hard to find interest, right, for a Sunny Spice.
Yes,
But
since you've been reviewing all this.
but you still
I mean,
had to go ahead and do it. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of time on our hands. We could slow cook our stories, discuss it till the cows came home, debate, all of that. So
Yeah.
we used to spend half our time in the office playing Colin McRae Rally until the editor came to office, and then we would all pretend that we were
Yeah.
working.
Let's
We
get
had
back to work. Let's get back to work.
Yeah, we had no we had no website to feed,
Okay.
so we didn't have that beast that kept having to be fed. There was no
Correct.
Twitter, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, so you didn't have to post anything. So you went out. One day you were doing only performance testing, second day you were doing fuel efficiency testing, third day you were driving it, fourth day you were driving it, fifth day you were chilling, sixth day you were chilling, then you would get down to writing the story. So it was fairly relaxed. Now
So
it is, the minute you sit in the car, you got to start feeding the social media beast,
yeah,
just
yeah.
putting out content non-stop, and you're just non-stop on the phone, doing videos, doing pictures. Then you carry your laptop, and in the middle of nowhere you're sitting and you're writing out the story because you have to put out the web story as soon as possible and all
True,
of that.
true.
So you don't really get that much time. Luckily, magazine journalists still, they go back home and then they rethink what they thought of the car, analyze what all they felt, and then put it down into print. So at least that is still there. But other journalists who do only social and only in web, they don't have the time. So it is
Yeah,
all,
Yeah, that's
they're
right.
expected to put it up the minute they even see the car, forget drive the car. And that's maybe affecting the quality of journalism. Yeah, but on the plus side, there's also the fact that we have far more cars and bikes to review. When I started
True,
off,
true, very true.
it was to even see a Ferrari was a dream. Forget doing a test on a Ferrari, right? But now we do Ferraris, we do Porsches, the new issue of Evo. We've got
Yeah.
all four generations of the 911 Turbo on the cover.
Yeah.
So we've got really cool cars that we have access to. So that has changed, yeah, and that is for the better.
So even back then,
But
you guys used to like test the vehicles pretty hard. Like,
Oh yeah. So Overdrive was the first magazine to invest in their own data testing equipment. When
Okay.
we started off, we had the Datron Corvette. That was an optical light sensor. That whole equipment was three big suitcases. like full thing. It was 3 big suitcases to install the gear. It took you some 45 minutes to an hour. If it was wet, the optical sensor wouldn't read, so you couldn't test in the wet. Like even if the road was a little wet, you had to wait for it to be completely dry. Only then it would generate. You had to have 2 people testing the car. So I would invariably be in the passenger seat assisting the road test editor or the assistant editor when they were testing it. And it was a computer that was like this big, and it weighed, I think, 10 kilos or 8, 10 kilos. It was on my lap. We used to test at the VRD, which was very bumpy. The magazines were very bumpy. And those days, cars were very soft. It's only now that we have like, firm cars. But those days, cars, even like the Honda City VTEC back then, very soft car. So when it hit the bump, you would really feel the bump. And then you had this whole computer on my lap going, no, up, down, up, down. So it was a very physical experience. And doing 200 kilometers per hour in that Honda City VTEC, that was frightening to say the least. And then the computer had an inbuilt dot matrix printer. So there was no displays. And that would cut up, and then you would have your test results. Now we have V-Box gear. The V-Box uses GPS signals, and it is this big. And that's it. You just suction mount it onto the windshield, and you have an app on your iPhone. And via Bluetooth, you get all the test figures. It is so much quicker, so much more convenient, so much more accurate also.
So I had a question. Going back to the point where you made that technology has actually changed everything. I mean, that's across every industry. How has that affected the sales of regular hardcover magazines? I mean, do people prefer to read digital versions of it, or do people still have that appeal of getting a magazine and just reading it? Because I remember as a kid, now I wasn't into cars, but then the biggest appeal for me would be there used to be this poster that
with every magazine.
These huge posters. So I would only buy them just for that. So that's what I wanted to know, that since people prefer all things digital, how has that affected magazine sales and everything?
I mean, I think isn't it because of the travels? Like I remember reading all these magazines during my travels through train. I mean, now the life has become so fast that people have no time to buy a magazine and read it up.
Yeah, so fact of the matter is that people no longer read a magazine cover to cover. When I was growing up, I would even read the specifications and the car and bike prices at the back of the magazine. I would read every single word in the magazine. Now people don't have that kind of time because you've got information overload. You've got your phone buzzing all the time. You've got Twitter, you've got Facebook, you've got Instagram, then you've got the magazine. What we focus on, and what we made a conscious decision when we started Evo India magazine, was to focus on stuff that you would not read on digital and social media, which is enthusiastic, long format stories. So all our cover stories are between 12 to 16 pages long. It's all lavish pictures and writing, which is bordering on the prose. It's great writing, great pictures, and make the car come alive. Basically put you as a reader in the driver's seat and make you experience the thrill of driving or the thrill of riding. So you read one story and you think, no, fuck man, one day I want to buy a Porsche. And that is what we are aiming at with the magazine.
Coming to like Japanese engines. So what I feel is like the cars being manufactured in India or more like sold in India, I feel the quality is very different from the same car that is being sold outside.
Okay, so I have 2 things to say to that. One is, don't believe everything that you read on social media. Okay. And the second is that for a manufacturer to do 2 different qualities on the same line is next to impossible. So I'll give you an example. The Baleno, it is made in India for even Japan. So all the cars in Japan, and I have seen a Baleno in Japan. So it's not like just Maruti is putting out releases and fooling people saying that no, the car is there in Japan. I've seen the car in Japan. It's the same car that is made here in India. So there is no difference. Earlier, it used to be the case that the grade of steel was a little different, but now it's no longer the case. Like when Hyundai exports cars, on the line to have 2 different grades of steel is a production nightmare, and nobody
it's a
does
costly
that.
affair for them also.
Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody goes into
But then
all
these
of that.
manufacturers are doing this funny thing that like I went to Singapore and I saw SX4 as a hatchback come SUV, a mid-range SUV, let's call it. And the same SX4 in India is a sedan. So what's that? What's the deal that people, manufacturers are, manufacturing the same name, manufacturing the vehicle in the same name, but with different, outcomes of it. Like one is an
It's
SUV
not
mid-range
just
SUV.
so it's not just India and Southeast Asia. If you
I mean,
look at
everywhere in the world.
yeah, so if you look at the Asian market Corolla and the American market Corolla,
Yes.
there are two different cars. The Asian market Civic and the American market Civic. Again, two different cars. They are
Again,
completely different.
completely different.
Volkswagen, the American Passat and the European
Yeah.
Passat, and India gets the European Passat. Two
Yeah.
different cars.
Two different
So
cars, yeah.
these are cars made for the peculiarities of individual markets. In America, the Civic, the Corolla, what are they termed as? They're termed as subcompacts.
Subcompacts, yeah.
Here, what is a subcompact? It's a Alto. So, so in America, all the cars have to be large, big. So those cars work over there, right? So that I would not really put too much weightage to, and I wouldn't really break my head over it.
So we're just about to wrap up. So before we let you go, we actually had a quick rapid fire for you. So it's 7 questions, and yeah, I'll just shoot them one at you, and yeah, we'll do this. So here it goes: bikes or cars?
Bikes, but I'm more of a car guy because I get more access to cars, and I'm far too terrified of falling down and breaking something. So and I do a bit of motorsport, and bikes racing is I can't do that. I don't have the skill.
SUV or sedan?
Sedan,
Automatic or manual?
manual.
One exotic car that you would love to own?
Just one.
Okay, let's expand it to 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so an R34 GTR,
Oh,
an
beautiful.
Evo 6.5, and a 930 turbo.
Okay.
You just listed out the dream.
Yeah.
I also want a G Wagon, a G AMG, any generation that would be
I
nice.
would love a 240Z. I would love a 240Z.
Yeah,
to be honest. The fair lady, I would love it.
W124 with the Cosworth engine, that would be great. So it just goes on and on, right?
The list goes
early-
on and on.
Yeah, an early Escort, and just go honing around with it.
Yeah.
But out of these, if you just have to pick one,
You're putting
an
me on the
R34
spot, man.
GTR. The GTR maybe, yeah.
okay.
the one vehicle that was a pleasure to review.
Oh, there's a lot. If you just talk about in the last month, then obviously the Thar, because I really enjoyed driving that, and it exceeded expectations. Let's put it that way. I enjoy everything, to be honest. I enjoy driving the Celerio to the Quid to the Ferrari 812 Superfast. I enjoy everything. I don't have anything like, no, this is it is sub 50 BHP, and I'm not going to go anywhere close to it. I enjoy driving all cars because all cars have their joy. With the 812, for instance, no, you have to be driving like an absolute lunatic to actually
True.
go anywhere close to the performance potential of the car. Whereas with a Quid, you are driving it and you're having a blast at 50 kilometers per hour. So there is joy to be had in every single car and bike that you are fortunate enough to get your hands on.
Yeah.
Right.
That's very true.
One word that you would use to describe your relationship with automotive vehicles.
Love.
And lastly, your prediction for the current F1 season.
Oh shit! Doesn't it's a no shit Sherlock question, right?
Mercedes.
Obviously,
I mean,
it's Hamilton.
I'm kind of sad with the Williams going out. I mean, because Williams, they literally dominated F1 in the early stages, but now look what's happened.
Yeah, but who is to blame?
Williams itself, I guess.
But no shit Sherlock. Yeah, the Hamilton is going to win the championship.
Hamilton is going to win the championship, definitely.
Yeah.
So with this, do you think that with this, if he wins this, does that make him one of the greatest of all? I mean, does he actually enter the GOAT conversation then?
He is.
Or is he? Because
Yeah, obviously he will enter the pantheon of greats. Is he the greatest? You cannot compare the 50s champions to
True.
the 2000s to the 2020s, right? Can you say that Hamilton was is better than Senna? Can you compare?
You need to put them in the same car
to
once, I
Senna?
guess.
Like, yeah, you can't do that. Yeah, how do you compare Nuvolari to Hamilton?
Hamilton, yeah.
The
I mean,
generation,
you can compare them
it's
once you try
different.
to put them in the same car. Because
And you will
since
never get
then,
them in the same car, right?
Yeah.
So,
True.
it's a question of endless debate,
Sure.
Right.
That's very
but
true.
there's no conclusion.
Well, we had a really good time talking to you, Sirish, and we're really grateful that you could spare some time for us, and just helped us in this journey of uniting the car community and the car enthusiast culture. It just puts us one step further towards achieving that goal. We would really like it if you could just give out your socials, and so that people know where to find you.
Yeah, I'm on Sirish Chandran, SIRISHCHANDRAN. So that's across platforms, and all the best to you guys. Yeah, we need more young guys
Thank you
like
so
you to
Thank you so
talk
much.
about
Thank you so much.
Because see, journalism now is not just print, it's not just this. It's it's across the board, across mediums, and reaching out to different audiences is important. And you take the message to a larger cross section of people, get more people enthused and excited about cars, motorsport, the whole automotive culture, and the more this community grows, the better it is for all of us.
Yeah, that's very true.
Very true.
I hope you had fun with us. I hope you had a great time.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the pleasure's all ours. Thank you so much, Sirish. Hope you have a great day ahead, and stay safe.
All the best, guys. Take care.
Thank
Be
you so
safe.
much.
Thank you so
And,
much.
continue to put out good stuff, man.
Definitely.
Sure thing.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.